Bring steroids
Mm-hmm.
back. Bring it back.
Yeah,
If you want to
yeah,
say
yeah,
it, imagine what Shohei Ohtani would do if you juiced him up.
I'm gonna show you how great I am. We're not worthy.
I said, empty your mind.
I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
You're on.
All right, we are back with another amazing, spectacular, fantastic, extraordinary episode of Canceled Teachers Talk Everything. Now, I know we're getting into it pretty quick here, but I feel like this is right up my alley. This is one of the This is an episode that I feel like is a long time coming. Between the amount of episodes we've done in this new format and the old format, we're pushing what? 60, 70 episodes? 50 episodes?
Hopefully, yeah.
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 And we haven't done anything close to what we're talking about now. So, because of current events, because of what the world is looking at this time, we are going to talk about baseball. But more specifically, the $1 million question: who deserves to be in the Hall of Fame? Who belongs in the Hall of Fame? Do Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Alex Rodriguez, Sammy Sosa, do these steroid era players deserve to be in baseball, in Cooperstown, baseball's Hall of Fame?
Right.
And before we get in there, I want people to know at home that I feel very strongly about this. And from experience, I was a college baseball player. I coached college baseball. Baseball is in my blood. So I don't know how, we're not really going to argue this. This is not an arguing conversation. We're just going to have a good talk. We're going to shoot our ideas back and forth and see where this flows. Because I don't know if there's really an argument here. I know we've talked about it before. You got an old school mentality, and you've got somebody who has been part of the game. So we might have some contradictions, but we might agree on a lot of things. So let me start off by asking you.
Talk to me.
Who is your favorite baseball player of all time?
Wow. My favorite baseball player of all time, who I cannot get enough of. Well, two different stories. My first favorite ever baseball player was Andre Dawson, the Hawk from the Chicago Cubs.
Chicago.
And I only say that because, when you grew up, you only had, in the 80s, you only had 3 or 4 channels. And then there was one, I think it was channel 13 or channel 12, called WGN. And they had the Cubs playing in the morning, because Cubs only played during the daytime back in the days. So when I would come home during the baseball season, I would only watch the Cubs. And I loved Andre Dawson. Coincidentally, rest in peace, I did not like Ryan Sandberg of the Chicago Cubs back then. But then as I grew older, I loved, my favorite player of all time was Nolan Ryan. Seeing him with the Astros, he always played on crappy teams, but he was always a shining light. One, I used to love when he would go to the All-Stars, he would always get the loudest ovation. And, he played well into his 40s. And I just loved watching him play. What about you? Who was your favorite player?
The reason why I ask is because I think my story of favorite player coincides with the conversation we're going to have. Growing up, my favorite player was Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah.
He has one of the sweetest swings of all time. I remember we had the cheap styrofoam Christmas ornaments. And I used to take the ornaments after Christmas. I used to go in the backyard and I used to swing left-handed and try to mimic his swing. And I taught myself how to swing left-handed, and I became a switch hitter later on in life, because when my dad realized that I can hit left-handed, I would take a couple of swings right-handed, and when he realized I was, I wasn't locked in anymore, he'd say, "Hey, switch over to the other side," and I would take 3 or 4 swings left-handed, and it would clear my mind, because everything I did left-handed went back to mechanics. So it was kind of like flipping the switch, and I did it because of Ken Griffey Jr. And I really wanted to swing like Ken Griffey Jr. Unfortunately, I wasn't Ken Griffey Jr. So, but I loved Ken Griffey Jr. And then he started.
Go ahead.
You go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was gonna use another story about Ken Griffey. Go ahead and finish it though.
So he started to have injuries, and I got older, and I moved on, to Mark McGwire. And like every kid during the summer of the home run, that was, I loved Mark McGwire. It seemed like everything he did was just massive. And then
he was a big guy.
He was a big guy, and he always was a big guy. And he's also
he was always a big guy.
He was also a Southern California guy. So he came from my neck of the woods, and he turned baseball around. That summer was probably one of the greatest summers of all time if you're a baseball fan. And then he got busted.
Right.
So then I was like, I can't, I got to move on. So I moved on to a new favorite player, and his name was Alex Rodriguez.
A-Rod. An A-bomb from A-Rod.
Gone! He's done it! A long high drive down the left field line, just fair for a 3-run home run. Alex Rodriguez has made Major League Baseball history, the youngest player ever to hit 500 home runs. An A-bomb from A-Rod.
That one or the Ranger one? The Yankee one?
The Yankee one. It was about the Yankees era when I became an A-Rod fan. And then same thing. He got popped for steroids, and I'm like, man, is it every player I ever liked? Are they going to be?
It felt like the other shoe was going to drop. If there was any speculation of a player doing roids during that late 90s, early 2000s era, it felt like it was going to happen. And that's kind of what bothers me, because that was my early 20s. I was right out of high school. I think the summer McGwire and Sosa were going back to back. I think I was a junior or senior that year in high school. So I was very formative in that time. So it felt like the shoe was going to drop anytime, and it was like a ticking time bomb. And good thing we didn't have social media then, because
it would have been bad.
I'm sure that list would have been a mile long, much longer if it was around at that time.
So I moved on, and I went a completely different direction. I needed to have a favorite player who was not in any way ever going to be linked to steroids. I really liked David. Yeah. I liked David Wright for the Mets, third baseman for the Mets. He just he did everything right. He wasn't the greatest player in any sense of the game, but he just did it right. And I really liked Joe Mauer. And Joe Mauer was a batting champ as a catcher, and I was a catcher, college catcher around that time, and I liked Joe Mauer. I really liked Craig Biggio. I used to carry a Craig Biggio card in my back pocket because growing up, I didn't have the strongest arm as a catcher, so I couldn't throw people out. Eventually, a kid came along and took my job, so my coach moved me to second base. And I used to carry the Craig Biggio card to remind myself that other players had done it. Craig Biggio came up as a catcher and then moved to the middle infield. He basically was a utility player before utility players were, a thing. Now every team needs that one guy that can play anywhere. Right. So I used to carry a Craig Biggio card.
I hated the Astros in the 80s. I used to, we would go visit my uncle and my aunt, and my uncle was a big Astro guy. and he was a real soft-spoken, very stoic figure. My Uncle Val. I'm gonna shout him out. And when my parents would go out, I would stay behind and he would take care of me. And we would just watch the Astros all day long. And this was mid to late 80s when they had like Mike Scott, and they had Craig Biggio, and they had Nolan Ryan, and they had who was the other guy? Ken Caminiti,
Jeff
rest
Bagwell.
in peace. Well, this is a little bit before Jeff Bagwell.
Okay.
And dude, they just sucked. That's when they wore the crappy, the white with the orange and yellow on the side, the striping. I just hated that Astro team. I hated Craig Biggio. So I have my disdain for him, as well. For me at least.
I'm trying to think who else have I like Pudge. Pudge was always on my list.
He was a phenomenon.
When I got to college, I had a choice between number 19 and number 27. And I'm sitting there thinking, no, I can't think of any players that were number 27 that I liked. I picked 19 because Tony Gwynn.
Juan Gonzalez.
No,
Tony Gwynn. By the way, one of the best, speaking of steroids, best 19 players, one of the best nicknames of all time was Juan Gonzalez. They used to call him Juan the Power Ranger because, he was a home run hitter.
Yeah.
And he got busted for
once again, another Reuter.
He was one of my favorites too, man.
So
he played for the Texas Rangers, that's why.
The quote is chicks dig the long ball.
Chicks dig the long balls. So let's start this off. That was a long intro. Instead of asking the obvious question, is baseball, the MLB in that time, are they complicit in this? Because, when the steroid era was happening, there was no real rule against it. We already 4 years before this whole steroid speculation began in the 92 Olympics and even in the 88 Olympics with Flojo and who was the one from Canada? I forgot his name. There was speculation about steroids being used. Ben Johnson, the one from Canada that defeated Carl Lewis convincingly, he would get busted for roids a few days after him beating Carl Lewis. So steroids was already being a common topic in sports already. Do you think MLB is complicit in this era? Like, are they not getting the blunt force that the players that Barry Bonds and Rafael Palmeiro and Mark McGwire, Roger Clemens, that they're getting? Should the league get more blame for this era or not?
So
talk to me.
So I'm going to say the hard answer is yes. And here's my evidence. Here's how I'm going to support my answer. There's been a few times in the history of baseball where the league itself has made changes in order to liven the game. I mean, you can look all the way back in the early 1900s where they started the live ball era, where they started making balls a little bit harder so that they traveled further.
Bounce off,
So they've changed the game before. In the early 90s, before the steroid era really exploded, and we pointed at steroids as the reason for home runs, there was actually a live ball, a juiced ball era, where they said that they wound the ball a little bit tighter so that they would jump a little bit more. Then you look at places like Colorado where they do the what's the stupid gas, the humidor. I think it's humidor, where they actually they put the balls in a container with gas that will that will counteract the fact that Denver is the elevation is so high. So baseball has changed the rules. The Bob Gibson rule where they lowered the mound.
Yeah, I was about to say lower the mound.
So there are times when the league itself has changed the game to make it a hitter-friendly experience. So I'm going to say yes. The league is 100% complicit. Why? Because home runs bring in fans. Fans bring in money, and revenue is what the league ultimately wants. I think they love this Shohei Ohtani thing. I mean, think about this. This is goes along with that. What are the chances that Shohei Ohtani actually was gambling on baseball and they swept it under the rug so that they can keep his bat and his story in the game? I'm not saying he did. I love
So what do you?
Ohtani. I wore his jersey a couple episodes ago. So I should be wearing it now. Oh,
Yeah. The Japan. Not only are you wearing, that's when he embarrassed our country, dude.
oh, well, hey, he's not an
When
embarrassment.
Trout led down the U.S. of A.
When you're the number one player
But
in
anyhow,
baseball, it's not an embarrassment.
I do agree with you that the MLB is very complicit in this as well. But it's kind of like anything else. A few weeks ago, we talked about corporations having their manipulation in politics and our day-to-day life. This is a corporation, Major League Baseball, where, they kind of, let's take it out on the employee. Let's not hold ourselves accountable. Let the player handle it. Let Barry Bonds handle it. Let Roger Clemens handle it. Let them go to court, which was a nightmare for Mark McGwire and Rafael Palmeiro with his finger wagging like that. I think this is a classic situation where corporations use the middle guy or the lower guy or the employee, even though they were millionaires, yes, but you're talking about billionaire owners and corporations inside MLB to take the heat off themselves so that the sport can continue to thrive, while they also know that, was the home run chase unbelievable with Sosa and McGwire, and later on with Bonds breaking the all-time record and so on and so on? Yes, but players come and go. This league is going to last forever, and the people will eventually move on. Let the player go through the hell. So I actually agree with you in that perspective that baseball is complicit as well.
So, baseball, if the blame for these changes is really the league's fault, then should the steroid users, who basically were thrown in the bus, like you said, should they be honored? Should they be allowed in Cooperstown?
Before you and I go through a yes/no thing, I've heard. Let's talk about some hot topics or hot points about how this steroid era should be honored. I've heard things like they should be allowed in, but there should be a steroid wing of Cooperstown. What do you think of that?
It depends on how it's presented. I mean, if
it's kind of like it's the Girls League, the hell, I mean, the stupid movie,
League of Their Own.
League of Their Own, like they show that they had their own wing. I don't know if it's still like that. I've never been to Cooperstown, but would you like to see something like that, or should these guys are the all-time greats? Roger Clemens with 7 Cy Youngs, Barry Bonds, the all-time hit king. Should they be put just mixed in with everybody else, or should they have their own designated wing?
No, if you make Cooperstown chronological, then I don't think it should matter. Like, I think if you rearrange it so players from the late 80s, all the 90s and early 2000s, if they are all together, then somebody who is knowledgeable in baseball will know that players from that era are from that era. I mean, there are other players, there's other circumstances around Cooperstown. And we talk about the hot takes. There's other circumstances around Cooperstown that are questionable at best, but yet we skip over that. Like, I don't know how you feel about cancel culture, but I mean, there's players that obviously cheated, like Gaylord Perry used to throw a spitball, which was outlawed because if you alter a baseball, it does weird things. I mean, think of the George Brett video where he had the pine tar too far off the bat. I mean, this guy had a whole career of throwing weird pitches by, using spit as moisture to make the ball do weird things. Ty Cobb is like one of the most racist people in sports history, but we kind of gloss over that. He's still in Cooperstown.
Or what about Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe betting on the game?
Yeah, they were okayed. They just got let in.
Yeah, in postmortem, yeah. So, all right, let's just answer the $1 million question. Should the steroid era guys, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, A-Rod, those kind of guys, Manny Ramirez, should they be in the Hall of Fame?
It depends. Okay,
Yes, no.
here's
Yes, no, and why?
some of them.
If the last vote, let's say it was a tie, and you're the last vote, what are you voting?
Depends on who it is. I'm going to go with some of your arguments from
All right.
other episodes.
Let's go down the list then. Okay, go ahead.
So you go Barry Bonds. Yes, he's the all-time
Okay.
home run king. You can't. How could you not have? He hit 760. Was 62? 762 career
Yeah,
home runs.
762.
So if you hit 762 home runs, I mean, there's some of that was aided by performance enhancing supplements.
You think so, really?
But
because some people say you can either hit the home
that's what
run
I'm
ball
saying.
or you can't.
Exactly. He still hit 762 home runs. Regardless, they say the hardest thing to do in sports is to hit a baseball, and he managed to square up a baseball perfectly 762 times. That is remarkable. Drugs or no drugs, his hand-eye coordination was next level. I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Alex Rodriguez. I don't know how many MVPs he won, but it's multiple MVPs. He won rings. There's your when we talk about LeBron James and other players, you look at rings. He has all of it. So I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Roger Clemens, like you said, he's got the Cy Youngs. He also has rings. He was the best of his era. There's another, that is one of the hard lines that I would have to say is compared to other players of his era. And I'm saying his is in, that's universal. How does he stack up?
Right.
You take guys like Juan Gonzalez, who, when you put his numbers up,
fringe players,
you put him up against all players in history, and he looks good. But when you put him in context of the other players around him at the time, he was all right. I mean, he was good. He was an all-star, but he wasn't the best of his era. Sammy Sosa, I'd probably say he probably gets in because he is one of the few multiple 60 home run hitters in history. Mark McGwire deserves to get in. He broke the home run record, the 70 home run record. I think that deserves to be recognized. Manny Ramirez, I'm not gonna lie. My college baseball coach, who was he was the hitting coach for the Red Sox, thought Manny Ramirez was arguably the greatest hitter of all time. Just pure hitter. He also loved Edgar Martinez though, so his claim to fame was he was Kevin Youkilis's personal hitting coach, and he won a batting title. So I don't think Manny Ramirez makes it. I don't think he did enough to separate himself from other players of his time. So I think you've got to go down the list, and you have to take each and every one of those guys based on their merits. So
let me ask you then. You're the baseball guy. I love baseball. I played my whole life as well. Never got to that top tier though, because of a coaching thing. That's a conversation for another day. Anyways, and Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens were never proven to be on the list. Yeah, there were claims on Balco and stuff like that, but nothing really ever, there was never real full proof. On the other hand, McGwire, Sosa, Palmeiro, Gonzalez, Pudge, those other guys, they were actually like investigated, and I don't want to say proven, but there's hardcore evidence that it was true. Is there a difference between the two, in your opinion?
No.
Or should... Go ahead.
No. It's almost... You got to... Just because they skirt it...
I mean, being accused... and then actually having some proof. I mean, they went to... They went to Congress to prove their point. McGwire, he pled fifth the whole way.
When there's smoke, there's fire. I'm not gonna lie. If they were accused, if it was ever a conversation, I think if their numbers, I know it sucks to say this because I'm thinking of guys like Ken Griffey Jr. if their numbers were ever inflated during this era, you have to assume. I think you have to assume there's a chance, and as long as there was a chance, I think you've got to put them in the category, because we're talking about millions and millions of dollars, and if you don't perform, then you're done. You're never going to get the opportunity. So, in context of myself or the world, how the world is, I think that more players were using steroids than we are aware, and I think that more superstars at the time, the Jeff Bagwells and the, like I said, as the Ken Griffey Juniors, they might not have ever been caught, but they're part of that bubble of history. And when you have guys that are hitting 50 home runs a year consistently, and look at Jeff Bagwell, look at his body. He was like all muscle. I mean, you got to assume. You got to say that there's a chance. So I'm not going to say that somebody like A-Rod should be held to held more accountable.
Well, he actually admitted it.
Yes,
he actually missed what?
A-Rod, who
a season and a half, if I'm not mistaken.
A-Rod and Manny, who were actually caught. I don't think that they technically should be held to held more accountable than somebody like Mark McGwire, who denied it and never really was caught, except for Jose Canseco saying I shot him up myself.
Right.
Or
let me ask you: do you think the NBA? Sorry, do you think the MLB knew that this was happening?
Hell yeah, I think that this was. I mean, they had to have a grasp on what's happening in the clubhouses. According to Jose Canseco, the steroids started in like the 80s when he and McGuire were playing together in Oakland with the Athletics. So we're talking it was over a decade where this was a thing, and you don't think Major League Baseball knew about it?
Right.
Deals. And Bonds hits one high. Hits it deep. It is out of here. 7:56.
Swings, and it's BB, baby, back to back. Woo, look at this one. Upper deck, and I mean it left the park at the 3-7.
Sammy drives one. Get out the tape measure. Long gone. I don't believe it. Sammy Sosa.
Leaning a little bit right now. He's running. There's the throw. Number 40. Jose Canseco, the first man ever in big league history. Way back it might be. It could be. Cubs win. Cubs win. Cubs win. Holy cow. Look at the left fielder. It clears a long one to right field. Forget about it. This one is headed for New Jersey. High into the upper deck. Barry Bonds with a spectacular 3-run homer. Randy Knox, no. Now all right. The 3-2 pitch to McGuire. Swing and a high fly ball belted. And I mean belted deep to left field into the upper deck. My, oh my.
Canseco bids for the second homer of the inning. If it's fair, he's got it. And it settles into the upper deck.
McGuire hit one back. McGuire. I think he got a lot of this one, Ray. What do you think? Where's it going to land? Did it hit the side? Oh, my. An unbelievable home run. Been able to swing the bat. That is crushed deep into the night, and it's 4-0. San Francisco. Into left field. They can't say it anymore. 60. Hit deep to center. Grissom back. 60. There goes. Number 61. Is it there? Yes! And McGuire is alone with Roger Maris. The 2-1. Swung on, there she goes. Number 62. Move over, Big Mac. You got company. First and third, 2 out. Oh, field! Number 70! How much more can you give us, Big Mac? Number 7.
No, I agree with you completely. I think MLB, they knew about it. I think they thought that their writers were too, especially at that time, were too romanticizing about the game to even do a deeper dive. It actually took an insider like Jose Canseco to, spill the beans, and really cause a seismic shift in not only baseball, but the perspective of baseball from the others. I mean, it goes back to that earlier question. They had to have known. I think the big MLB should be more complicit because steroids was a hot topic in the 80s and 90s. I remember playing Little League sports and they would make us watch a video about doing steroids.
We still watch,
and
we still watch a video. We have a freaking sign on our school saying this is a no steroid according to penal code, whatever. Yeah, steroids are still a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not gonna lie to you.
And
if I have any of my old college teammates, if they ever listen to this, they're gonna kill me. We were the number 1 team in Southern California my sophomore year in college, and I think 3 of our starters were taking steroids, but they don't test. So our starting shortstop set the school record for hits. He was taking steroids. We had an outfielder who was having hamstring issues before the season started, and then he started taking them because he thought it would help him come back. Our starting designated hitter hit like 400 with like 15 home runs, and he was taking steroids. I mean, it's just and guess what? Our starting shortstop got drafted in the top 10 rounds by San Francisco.
Really?
The designated hitter got a pro workout with the White Sox. So we're talking they got opportunities because they were juicing. And that's what I'm saying is when money is on the line, desperate times call for desperate measures.
I agree. Let me ask you this, because you have Roger Clemens with 7 Cy Youngs. You got Barry Bonds, right? You have Mark McGwire. You see them grow. One thing I want to talk about is NBA player Wemby, right? I'm not just saying that because it's the Spurs, but big old talk this summer was that he grew from 7'3" to 7'5" over the summer, and if you look at him, it looks like a natural growth spurt. He's only 20, or I think he just turned 20. What you saw in the MLB in that time was these guys that, they're athletes. Barry Bonds was a great athlete. Roger Clemens was a good athlete. McGwire was great, was a big guy. But then they just got this big old head. They got these big old broad shoulders. And it felt like it was overnight. And their games just went to a different level. I remember for Roger Clemens, he was one of my favorites because he was a Longhorn, and I didn't like him that he was in the Red Sox. But then when he went to Toronto, I was like, all right, now I can finally like Roger Clemens. It felt like if he did take the roids, even though it wasn't proven, that he did it to prolong his career. Because towards the end of his Red Sox era, he was kind of washing out a little bit. And then here he comes back to Toronto, and he wins a Cy Young, I think the first year he pitches there. And it felt like you saw these players like just expand, like physically. And the idea that it wasn't called out until an insider like Jose Canseco to do it, I mean, it just goes to show you were we blind to the greatness of these players, and the writers, were they blind to the greatness of these players? Or was it just like, we're just going to sweep it under the rug. Let's not make an issue if it's not an issue.
All right. So I think that some of it might be blindness, but what I'm going to say is if you look at a lot of trajectories of careers, like let's look at Mike Trout. Mike Trout, when he first came in, was like a 40-40 guy. He had 40 home runs, stole 40 bases. And as his career has gone on, he has stolen less and less bases, and his home runs have always been there. Even in a bad year like this year, he still hit 30 home runs. So the home runs will always stay, but the stolen bases and the speed go down. And if your speed goes away, there's no reason to stay lean. You could put on the muscle a little bit. You can get a little bit bigger. Look at Jock Peterson. He got big and fat over his career. It's not out of the realm of possibility for guys to thicken up as they've gotten older. So when A-Rod did it, A-Rod technically didn't get massive like McGuire, but he was a skinny kid when he first came up at 19 years old.
He was.
Now, we get those kids at the high school level, the college level all the time. They've never even been to a weight room. It's all pure talent. And once you get professional trainers and you get, like, let's say remember when Kevin Durant first came into the NBA, he was super skinny, and then they thickened him up. Same with Giannis. And these guys came over and they're just pure talent. And then you get actual, $1 million training facilities, and they get thick, they get big.
I think the difference between them, those basketball players, and what you're talking about is that you saw them over the years get bigger. For these baseball guys, it felt like from one offseason to the next that they got monstrous. That Power Ranger joke I said, I remember I was at a family friend's party, and I was a kid, and they were watching the news at night, and the last segment is always sports. And because we live in Texas, they were talking about the Texas Rangers spring training. And I think they played in Arizona for spring training. And they were like, wow, look at Juan Gonzalez. He's the next big. I mean, he gained 25 pounds of muscle. And now he's really is a Power Ranger. Juan, the Power Ranger, plays for, the Rangers. And it's like, where did that come from? Where did that size come from? And we weren't connecting the dots as fans as well.
I mean, look at Zion. In the NBA and how he thinned up, and he looks incredible. That I'm going to go out on a limb and say he probably didn't do that without some kind of medical help. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff you could take now to thin yourself up. What's the difference between that? Now that he's leaner, he's faster. He already could jump. He already could jump through the roof. So now he's not moving as much body weight. So what is the difference between that and what these guys were doing? They already had the skill, but by taking the performance enhancing supplements, they're gaining more muscle mass. Is that against the rules? At the time, it really wasn't. Like you said, was there significant rules that told them they couldn't do that. It didn't come until later when they started making the 50-game suspensions. At that point, then yes, they're breaking the rules. But beforehand, it was like, in the 80s, they did methamphetamines. Like, they did meth. I mean, we can go on a huge history lesson on meth and the effect that it has on, like, soldiers and stuff.
Adolf Hitler.
Yeah. So, I mean, what's the difference between that as a performance-enhancing supplement and steroids? Or how about the people that pop all the pills to numb their body? The pitchers that take, 20 milligrams of Tylenol acetaminophen every game just so they can get through a game. I mean, it's they're taking performance-enhancing supplements.
Okay, I think at that point we're getting a little nitpicky, but I see where you're coming from. Let me let me ask you this: do you think, because these guys are being held out of the Hall of Fame, like for me, I think all those guys, Bonds, McGuire, I think they should be in the Hall of Fame because there was no rule. I think that is baseball's fault completely at the time. Okay. If there was a rule, maybe some would have broken the rules, but I think there would have been more merit on the ground there. I think baseball covered their eyes in hopes that nothing would ever spill over. And I think baseball should be reprimanded more than these players. So do you think that the writers that vote in every year for these baseball players to be in the Major League Hall of Fame, are we waiting for them to die out? Like those old school writers to die out? Because it seems to me the new guard of writers, they're going to let them in. It's only a matter of time. You know, if you go to like the old school writers like Dan Shaughnessy from the Boston Globe, he said he will not vote for them. His quote is, in my view, they used and therefore cheated. But it wasn't cheating for me because it wasn't in the rule book. It was just implied, I'm assuming.
It was 2000.
I don't buy that they were already Hall of Famers. If you lead the Masters by 10 strokes and cheat on the 18th hole, you are DQ'd. Let's see who else. Tom Verducci from Sports Illustrated, very famous. He declared he did not vote for them and is slightly tougher than average on PED implicit players. He goes, he didn't vote for Barry Bonds on the New Yorker, he said, or Roger Clemens this year, and doesn't seem intent on giving them the nod anytime soon. Bill Madden from the New York Daily News, he stated, I'm not voting for any of those guys. Bonds, McGuire, Sosa, Palmeiro, any of them. If the Hall of Fame doesn't want me or any other writers to take a stand, then that clause of the ballot should be taken out. So it seems like the old guard is very traditional in their thoughts about the steroid era. I think when they die out or they retire, I think the new guard is going to overwhelmingly vote for Barry Bonds. What do you think about that?
Well, I think there's a lot of issues with the way that we vote for
I agree.
Major League's Hall of Fame classes. I mean, I have lost all respect for the way we vote for Cooperstown after the who was it? Oh, Ichiro. Ichiro got 99% of the vote. One person didn't vote for him. One person.
Yeah.
The only person that's ever got in on a unanimous ballot was Mariano Rivera. So the fact that there's guys out there like Ichiro and Derek Jeter who didn't get all the votes means that there's writers that have their heads so far up their asses that they're ruining the whole idea.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't think they're waiting for the old guard to die out. I think that there's always going to be people that want the spotlight. So I think there'll be young guys that show up and they'll take the torch. They'll carry the torch saying, this is my chance to make a name for myself. Come listen to my words. Come read my articles. I got something to say. And I think that'll always be there. So no, I don't think when the old guard dies out, they'll magically start voting for these guys. I think these guys have a black mark, and just like Shoeless Joe Jackson and Pete Rose, it's going to take a stroke of a higher power to get them in.
I agree with you. I think I feel like these players, Bonds and all them, they know when the old guard is gone that they're going to be, put into the Hall of Fame. Going back to the original first question, should there be a special wing, or should they be mixed in alphabetical, or however the way they do it? I've never been to Cooperstown, so I don't know. I think they should be put in with everybody else. I don't think there should be a special wing. I know that's a hot take that they want to do with the steroid era players. I don't know. I just think that these players, were they being mischievous? Did they know that they were possibly messing with their legacy at the time? I don't know. They were like 24 to 30-year-old kids. They were. I'm in my mid 40s, so I remember that era of my life. I thought I was above the law sometimes, and I think like, hey, we're just playing the game here. I want to prolong my career. I want to make as much money as possible. I don't think they thought of it as if I get busted, it's going to cause this crazy, roller coaster of a situation in the MLB. I don't know. I feel like that should be taken into consideration as well. And I think they should be in the Hall of Fame. Considering how old school of a thinker I am, I think they should be put in the Hall.
Well,
yeah.
I agree. In my mind, if you can allow drug users into the Hall of Fame, and there's quite a few of them, then you should be able to allow performance-enhancing drug users in the Hall of Fame. Because, like I said, drugs are drugs. They change, they alter the way your body is, your body functions. And I mean, who was it that threw a perfect game and they were drunk? David Wells. David Wells threw a perfect game and he was drunk. I mean,
dude, he also wore the Babe Ruth hat in the middle of the game.
I mean, if we allow things like that without making a big deal about it, then these guys should be in Hall of Fame. Tell their story. Barry Bonds has the single season home run record. He's the greatest home run hitter of all time. He arguably is the greatest offensive player to ever play. My Angels did beat him in 2002 for, but
yeah,
he had
one more hot take.
Go ahead.
Finish your thought. I'll give you the hot take.
You want the hot take, or you want me to give a hot take?
I want to give you a hot take.
All right, here's my hot take.
So
you gotta let me think about one.
Go ahead.
Well,
hold on. There's also a hot take where they want to, okay, we're going to put him in the Hall and mix them in with the other players. Barry Bonds right next to Lou Gehrig or something like that. That on their plaque, it should say a part of the Balco investigation, stuff like that. For A-Rod admitted to steroid use, like it should at least be on the plaque. Is that a compromise, or should that not be admitted to their entrance into the Hall of Fame?
No, I don't think. Just don't mention it. Tell the baseball part of the story. They're there. They're in there.
I agree with you.
They're in there because they're baseball players. I mean,
right.
That's I mean, I don't know what the individual plaques say, but is Darryl Strawberry in the Hall of Fame?
No.
Like if you put Darryl Strawberry in the Hall of Fame or Dwight Gooden, do you have to write, did drugs?
I think that's what being a sports fan is, by the way. I think it's more like we're the ones that tell the stories. Like I always joke around with you that I know everything about sports from 1920 to 2010. And when I have an opportunity if I'm with my family members or friends or students or my girlfriend, and I see a moment that I can share the history, I do that. So if I see Barry Bonds, I'll be like, oh man, he was the best at this and that. But he got, more than likely he was on steroids. Like, let the fans tell the story. I'm with you. I think their plaque should just be their bust, the years they played and what teams they played for. And that is it, their accomplishments. We don't need to have a steroid wing. We don't need to have plaques, defaming them. Just let the fans tell the story. So that's where I'm at with that.
All right. I'm going to finish this episode with my hot take. I'm going to take it one step further. These men saved baseball.
Ooh, okay. I love it.
The steroid era saved baseball. After the 94 lockout, this is what brought people back when people wanted to watch this. The 98 summer home run chase was probably the greatest thing baseball's had in the last 30 years, and that was because of steroids. Regardless of whether they were legal or not, or there were rules or there weren't, I think these guys should be celebrated. They brought baseball back as a focal point of American sports. We've lost it since we cracked down on steroids, and the NFL and the NBA have now arguably surpassed it as the American form of the number one American form of entertainment. Bring steroids back. Bring it back.
Yeah,
If you want to say
yeah.
it, imagine what Shohei Ohtani would do if you juiced him up.
Yeah, that guy's he's a freak for sure.
But that's
Okay,
my hot take.
all right.
That's my hot take.
I love that hot take. Let's go ahead and end it there. So, guys, go ahead, like and subscribe, do the comments, do all that good stuff, and we will definitely, I was gonna say most likely, we will definitely respond to your comments. Do you have any final words before we sign off, my man?
I don't. I'm stuck thinking, what would Shohei Ohtani look like if he was juiced out of his mind?
Well, he's already, 6'5"? Weighs like 240?
I had this argument. I know it's going to sound super gay right now, but I told my fiance, I'm like, he's a good-looking guy. I mean, there's a reason why they gave him $700 million. He's not like the greatest-looking guy, but he's a clean-cut, good-looking guy. And imagine if he just was like Arnold Schwarzenegger from Predator. Take a look at our logo. I mean, our logo real quick, and just imagine if that was Shohei Ohtani's arms.
If he's already throwing over 100. So imagine if he has that leverage now.
Nolan Ryan, who?
It'd be 104, 105, every bitch.
It'd be the Ohtani Express.
Yeah. All right, so go ahead. Like I said, guys, thank y'all for watching, and we will be posting every Monday and Thursday. Thank you.
I'm gonna show you how great I am. We're not worthy.
I said, empty your mind.
I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.